Let's move forward to the next topic. Now coming to Databricks. Okay. Databricks for PySpark learning. You can ask me a question. Okay. Since so far for NumPy, Pandas, everything what you were using? You were using Jupyter Notebook, correct? But when it comes to PySpark, I tell you to use it in the Databricks. To write the code in Databricks. Let us understand why so. Why you cannot? You can do it in Jupyter Notebook, no problem. But you need to understand what happens if you are doing it in Jupyter Notebook and what happens if you are doing it in the Databricks. There is a difference. Let us understand that. What is the need of Databricks here? Why I am bringing Databricks to you? Okay. So, do you need Databricks? I say, some people they say no, they don't strictly need Databricks to learn PySpark. But if you use Databricks, what is the advantage? It makes your learning much easier and faster. Okay, for beginners, since you are the beginners, so if you go with the Databricks, there you will not have any setup or environment issues. So if you are doing it in the Jupyter notebook, there are some version conflicts. You have to install Java, you have to install Python, you have to install PySpark, that, this, everything there is some conflicts in version. If you install Java version, another version which this PySpark does not support, then it will not work. You have to install the proper Java version, then only it will work. Otherwise there is a version conflict. So there are so many minor problems like this. So in setting up the environment only you will lose so much of time. Okay, so to avoid that, to avoid the setup environment issues, you are going for Databricks. Let us say, I'll give you an example. When you are buying new clothes, when you are buying new clothes, there are two options. One is you buy the ready-made ones. You see it, you like it, you buy it. Other one, you are making it stitched. That means you have to buy the cloth, you have to design the one design you have in mind, you have to communicate the design to tailor or designer, so he will understand and he will stitch that. It takes lot of time, right? Setting up, process, everything takes lot of time. But when you buy ready-made things, it is very easy for you, right? So Databricks is just like buying the ready-made stuff. Everything is there, you just use it. If you don't want that, then go for the Jupyter notebook, install everything, and there you can run. No problem. In both you can run the code, no problem. But the difference is which is easy and which is difficult. Okay. That is the main thing here. Okay. Fine. So it is better if you have the Databricks. So Databricks, what exactly is Databricks? It is a cloud platform. It is a cloud platform. It is built especially on Apache Spark. So it is designed especially for that. So if you want to execute Apache Spark code, you can use the Databricks platform. Okay. So it is also a platform that brings together data engineering, data science, business analytics. Everything it will bring together. Okay. So what it provides? So it provides ready to use Spark clusters. It provides notebook interface just like Jupyter. There you are creating the notebook, right? In Jupyter. Here also you can create the notebook. So in that notebook only you can execute the programs. Okay. And you can use the clusters here. Ready to use clusters. What is a cluster? A group, it is a group of systems connected together, that we call it as a cluster. So here you can find ready to use clusters. You need not sit and set up the clusters. Okay, they are available, you can just use them. How many clusters you want for your data processing, you can use it. It is easily available. Okay, and you can also write a code just like in the Jupyter notebook. Here also you can create the notebook. And built-in environment, everything is built-in. You need not worry about installing Java, you need not worry about installing PySpark. Nothing you need to install. Everything is there. Okay, no installation is required. Just have a Databricks account, start running your code. That's it. Why use Databricks? First, it simplifies the PySpark learning. Okay, learning makes it easy. Okay, so it remove the complexity so you can focus on what matters. So in setting up only you are taking so much time, then in what time you can learn. Okay, so you have to focus more on learning, more on writing the code rather than setting up the environment. Okay, and it removes the setup complexity. Just now I told no Java versions, configurations, path issues, everything is removed in this. Okay, and it provides you the real world environment. Okay, so you feel like you are working in the real cluster. You feel like you are working in the real production environment if you are using the Databricks. Okay, and you can spend more time on your coding rather than this setting up. Okay, you can focus on coding well. Okay, so you cannot spend time on setting up all these things, so you can spend the time in coding transformations, not, but not about the configuration. Okay, configuration you forget it. Uh, okay, no installation problems. When you are setting it up locally, what are the problems you can undergo? Java version problems, you can undergo Hadoop setup issues, you can undergo environment errors, you can undergo path configuration problems. All these are the problems with the local setup. But if you are using Databricks, everything is pre-installed, Spark runs in the cloud, start coding instantly. Okay, no problems. Then, so when it comes to the real industry environment, these Databricks can be used on AWS, Databricks can be used on Azure, Databricks can be used on Google Cloud Platform. GCP means Google Cloud Platform. You might have heard about AWS, Azure and all. These are the cloud platforms. Okay. So you can have Databricks on all these platforms. So there is no limitation. If you are, if you have already learned AWS, then you can use Databricks on AWS itself. So whichever the cloud platform is comfortable to you, that you can use for the Databricks. Okay. So learning the Databricks, what it gives you? It gives you the hands-on experience. Okay. So it's not just the tool, it's the industry standard. ನಂದು ಇನ್ನೊಂದು 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Okay, fine. Next. So when you are running your code in local PySpark, what happens? Your code runs in the local mode. Local mode, okay, and it is having very limited distributed environment. So for example, you don't have any other system, you have only one laptop, you want to do the distributed processing. So what you can do here, if your laptop is having 8 CPU cores, let us say in those 8 CPU cores you can do the processing. You cannot do beyond that because your CPU is, laptop is having only 8 cores. So beyond 8 cores you cannot do it. That is very limited. Okay, and it is simulated to the cluster only. That means in whatever you are doing, do it in one system only. Okay, you cannot extend your process into any other system. But when you are using Databricks, you work in real cluster environment. Okay, and there are some drivers and executors. So when I explained you the architecture of this Spark, I explained you about executors, driver, everything. So there you have separation between all these components. There is no, including everything and creating a mess. No. So there is a proper separation between driver and executors. Okay. And there is a true distributed processing you can have in the Databricks. So when it comes to whether it is mandatory, do you really need it? So not mandatory if you are learning only basics, if you are working only with the small data set and you have already installed the PySpark locally. So if you are doing only small, dealing with only small data sets and basics, then you don't need the Databricks. You can just install the PySpark, you can create the Spark session, enough. But when you are dealing with the big data sets, this is not enough. Okay, you need to go for the PySpark. So Databricks is optional for beginners but becomes essential as you move toward industry level data engineering roles or larger data sets. Okay, so for large data, always prefer the Spark. Okay. So it is also recommended if you are preparing for the job roles for data engineering or analytics, or if you want to have real world exposure to industry's tools, you can go for this. And if you want to avoid the painful local setup issues, then you can go for Databricks. And if you are learning the cluster based distributed processing, you can go for the Databricks. So these are the points which support learning the Databricks. Okay. The comparison, full comparison between local PySpark and Databricks. So setup, we know that. Environment also we know. So for the local PySpark, it runs on local machine, and for the Databricks, it runs on the cloud platform. Okay. Then ease of use. So using local PySpark might be difficult for beginners, but using Databricks is very easy and user friendly for beginners. And coming to the performance, it is having very limited performance, local PySpark. Okay. When it comes to the Databricks, you can have high performance and scalable cloud. When it comes to cluster support, local PySpark always runs in the local mode only. But Databricks, you have real distributed cluster. And industry usage is limited, local PySpark, and Databricks is widely used in companies. And collaboration, local PySpark is very limited, and in Databricks you can have team collaboration. Like if you are working as a team, okay, Databricks support you, but local PySpark does not support you. Okay, so best use case, local PySpark is used for basics and small data sets. Databricks is used for industry level projects. Okay, so these are the differences between local PySpark and Databricks. If you want a real class work in the real cluster environment, then Databricks is the good one. Okay, if you don't want to have this environment setup, configuration, anything, any headaches, then it is better. Databricks is you can use that. Okay, fine. So that was about Databricks. Why you have to use Databricks. Okay.